All right, we are up to lesson 3 of Unit 7. There are no new lesson notes today. You will need to access once again the lesson notes from lesson 1, so have those handy. We're going to go right into the examples. So a research group interested in comparing the effect of different types of music on short-term memory gathers 200 volunteers for a study. One group will listen to a hip-hop music playlist while trying to memorize a list of 20 words. A second group will listen to a playlist of orchestral music while trying to memorize the list of 20 words. After a break, the number of words recalled correctly by each individual is measured, and the results for the two groups are compared. Number 1, is this an experimental study or an observational study? So in other words, are the researchers directly interacting with the participants? Let's go back to our lesson notes and look at the differences. Observational study collects data without influencing the subjects directly. Okay, collects data by directly influencing something to determine how another thing is changed. Okay, this is going to be an experimental study because they're studying the effect of one thing, in this case, the type of music they're listening to, and how that affects the other thing, in this case, can they memorize the 20 words or not. So this is an experimental study. Okay. And the reasoning is, and I'm not going to write this down, so just make sure you listen. The reasoning is because they are studying the effect of one thing, in this case, the type of music, and the effect that has on the other thing, in this case, the number of words they can memorize. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that the researchers are directly influencing the subjects, okay, as it says in the lesson notes here, okay. So, an observational study would be like they're sitting in another room, not interacting with the subjects while they listen to music. In this case, they are actually interacting with the subjects. So, therefore, this is an experimental study. Which group do you hypothesize will recall more words? Explain your reasoning. Remember, a hypothesis in the scientific method is just an educated guess. So number 2, there really is no right or wrong answer because you're simply taking a guess. So my hypothesis, and yours may be different, and that's okay. My hypothesis is that the group listening to orchestral music will memorize more words simply because that's, when I was in college, that's what I would listen to. When I was studying, I would listen to classical or orchestral music. But like I said, that's not, the quote unquote right answer. It's a hypothesis. So there's no right or wrong answer on this one. Okay. Number 3, here are some options for splitting the volunteers into groups. Which method will best address the intention of the study? Explain your reasoning. So A, divide groups based on their preferred music style. Divide groups based on their age. The youngest 100 listen to hip-hop music, and the older 100 listen to orchestral music. C, divide groups based on order in which they come in to do the study. The first 100 listen to hip-hop music. The next 100 listen to the orchestral music. D, write all the volunteer names on slips of paper, put them in a jar and shake it, then draw 100 slips. These will listen to the hip-hop playlist, while the others will listen to the orchestral music. So out of these 4, which one is the most random in how they're selecting the group? Which one is the most random and least biased? And for me, the answer to that is going to be D. Whenever you're picking names at random out of a hat or a jar, that is truly a random sample. Okay. And the more random selection process you have, the less likely your results are going to be biased. So, to answer the question here, which method will best address the intention of the study? The answer is D. The reasoning is because it is the most random process of all of the four. It's the most random and therefore will lead to less biased results. Number 4, I've kind of already answered. Why is it important to separate participants into experimental groups and to select samples from a population by using random processes? I already said the reason. Why is that important? The more random the process is, the less likely the results will be biased. That is the reasoning. The more random the process is, the less likely the results will be biased. That is the answer to question number 4, and that is it for lesson 3.